John Wertheim reporting there, and Prakash back with us. That was February 26th when Maria Sharapova announced her retirement. Less than a month ago. Crazy what has happened since then. Prakash, what did you make of the announcement when it happened?
It just kind of took us all by surprise. It still doesn't take away from the things you remember her for the most. And I'm sure, Lindsay, Paul, you guys will have your own best memories of her. But for me, watching that victory that you had over Serena back in 2004 when she was just 17, it kind of just reminds you of the film A Star Is Born. She was so young, absolutely fearless when she stepped out there. And she's one of the few players who just was able to balance being such a global megastar. I mean, you think Sugarpova, Candy, you think, guest starring on shows like Billions and still balancing it with winning all the 4 Grand Slams. It's so unique.
One of the things when you look at greatness, too, you look at longevity. And I think for Maria, it's been pretty spectacular, right? 2001 was the first year she was playing professional tennis and just hung it up about a month ago. And over those years of tennis, so many tremendous accomplishments, winning almost 80% of her pro matches, which is an incredible mark. That's one thing. The thing that kind of resonates with me the most, though, really is her competitiveness. I always looked at her as one of those relentless competitors that no matter what's going on, she's going to figure out a way and exhaust every resource to figure out a way to get through that moment, whatever that moment is. And so to see her win the French Open twice as her last 2 majors, brings a smile on my face. I think that is kind of typical Maria. Like, that's the toughest thing for me. I can't move on the surface. And there she goes. She wins it twice at the latter stages of her career. So many strong things to remember, a tremendous career, tremendous longevity. And let's be honest, last year and a half, 2 years especially, a lot of injury, a lot of pain she was dealing with. And sometimes the body kind of helps the mind shut down.
Yeah, everyone loves to talk about how she won these 2 French Opens and how hard it was for her because that was her least favorite surface. I also look at it that very few tennis players have ever been able to come back to the highest level after having shoulder surgery. And at the peak of her playing in 2008, at the end of the year, she had to have major shoulder surgery. It took her years to get her arm back feeling good. She went through that spell where she was trying to change her service motion to alleviate some pain that was still left over from the surgery. She was double faulting. But that was her work ethic and her mind. She just kept at it, and she wins 2 more majors. Yes, on her worst surface, but also after a major surgery. I was always so impressed with that. She's had many more procedures on that shoulder. She never really talked about it much. She didn't want everybody to know maybe how bad her arm was, but she kept trying. She wanted to get back to the top. And I think so much has to do with her journey and how tough it was for her and her family in the beginning, coming over from Siberia and from Russia. She had to leave her mom for a few years. This woman was a born fighter. She had to go through so much to achieve it. She was always working hard. She, as Prakash said, was one of the few that learned early on how to manage being a businesswoman, being a social icon, but also being a very, very, very good tennis player. And that was remarkable to me also.
Well, when our list of greatest 100 tennis players of all time was made, this was 8 years ago, before Maria won those 2 French Open titles, and she came in at number 71.
The first round of our countdown of the greats is coming to an end. Finishing off our list of 100 through 71 is one of the most popular and marketable players in the history of the sport, Russian-born superstar Maria Sharapova.
I spent time with Maria for the first time at the U.S. Open a couple years before she really broke through at Wimbledon. Even though she hadn't had the results yet, she already had the aura.
In 2004, at just 17, Maria took center stage in the world of tennis when she shocked 2-time defending champion Serena Williams in the final at Wimbledon.
I think I can say it was quite unexpected, not only from people around me and the crowd and everyone there, but also for myself, because I never thought I would be ready to mentally or physically achieve something like that.
Maria backed up her Wimbledon win with a U.S. Open title in 2006, followed by an Australian Open title in 2008. And even though a shoulder injury hampered her career in 2009,
she was able to return to peak form, reaching the 2011 Wimbledon final, along with the 2012 Australian Open final.
I've always been a really big competitor. I've always been really hungry to be out there, and I think I'd like to be known as someone that always gave everything I could.
So since this was produced 8 years ago, Maria, as mentioned, won 2 more majors, both at the French Open. She was also suspended 15 months for doping. I'll start with you, Paul. Does her ranking at 71 go up, down, or remain the same?
Top 30.
Agreed. High 20s. Agreed.
Prakash?
Took the words out of my mouth. Winning all 4, top 30.
All right. One of only 6 to do it in the Open era. All agree that in 2020, Maria Sharapova would make it into the top 20 greatest of all time. Well, for Lindsay, Paul, Prakash, John, and our entire Tennis Channel team, I'm Steve Weissman. Thank you so much for joining us today on Tennis Channel Live.